Hi everyone, this is Jane here, and I'm just here to catch up with a little kind of hashtag thing that's going on at the moment. Um, that Simon at the Hermit's Cave started off, which is about most overlooked tarot decks. And I do have some overlooked tarot decks. Quite a lot of overlooked tarot decks, if I'm totally honest, because I kind of, sorry for the rustling, I'm just grabbing one that I've forgotten about. I kind of have like a real favourite deck that I use constantly, and because I kind of work professionally with tarot, I do tend to just stick with this deck for that work, because it's a deck that I have by my side constantly. I'm using it all the time. It's so easy for me to read. And the thing is, when you're doing a lot of phone readings or instant message readings, you've got to be quick. So you can't kind of hang around too much when it comes to kind of doing a reading for somebody. You can if you are doing an email reading, and what I should do probably is to incorporate some of these different decks into my email readings, which is an idea that I might kind of pursue. But just so that you know, this is going to be slightly different probably to other people's take on this hashtag, because the thing that I've got going on really with these is these are overlooked decks that I really want to work more with, so I've got to make more effort. But just to show you, the deck that I use constantly is the Faulkner deck, and it's all photographic, modern day imagery, and there's loads going on in these photos. But because this is a deck that I use all of the time, it's like my right arm really. It's always right there next to me. I know it so well, but I very quickly something in a card will jump out at me. So if I'm giving a reading for somebody on the phone, I can very quickly say, this is what I feel is going on. Which, especially if you're working at that in that kind of field, people want that. They want that speed. So that's why I sort of stick with my Faulkner deck, apart from the fact that I just absolutely love it as well. That's why, because it gives me what I need, and it gives me what I need very quickly and very succinctly. A lot of these, I've only pulled out 3, I think, that I'm going to show. A lot of my other tarot decks, and I do have quite a lot of decks, so I went through a phase of buying loads, and I've kind of really slowed that down now, because I just wasn't using them all. I love them, but I just wasn't really using them. So the ones that I'm going to show you are ones that I really love and that I really want to work with more, but you'll see why I probably don't as much as I could. So the first one I wanted to show is the Darkness of Light Tarot, and I haven't looked through this deck for ages and ages. It's probably still in order, but I have used it. This is the 4th edition. It's an independently produced deck. Don't know if it's still available. When I do the links down below, I will try to see if it actually is still available. So you do, don't think you do get a little book with this. Don't think you do. No, don't think you do. So these are the backs. It is lovely stock. It's really, really lovely. It's almost like a linen stock. It's got that slight feeling to it, but you can't, I don't think you can see that it's a linen. Oh, there you can, if, I don't know if you can see that. It is kind of like a linen stock. So I'll just show you a few of these cards. I like it I like it because it's kind of borderless. I really like borderless decks. I think most of the images are just black and white, which is fine with me. I kind of like that. But I feel like I need to sit with these cards a bit longer than I would need to sit with that Faulkner deck to really get the vibe for somebody. So this would be great if I was doing an email reading for someone, or if I was reading for myself. I don't really read for myself very often, I'm going to be totally honest. I find it very hard to get my emotions out of the way if I'm reading for myself. So I don't do it that much. I do every now and again. I'm in a group and we all do like a full moon reading or a different astrology type reading. So we've just done one for the spring equinox. So actually it would be ideal to use for doing that kind of reading for myself. So I think my mission is going to be to keep this nearby so that I can reach for it for those type of things. But it's really weird because I'm so attached to the Faulkner deck. I kind of really miss it if I'm not using it. So it's I almost feel like I'm betraying it a bit. But I mean, I know I'm not, but I kind of feel like that. So it's a bit of a weird one. But the imagery on this is lovely. I like the fact that it's almost black and white, but then you just get these tinges of colour. It's a while since I've had this deck, but I don't know what the score was with the guidebook, but it is a really beautiful deck that I absolutely should use more than I currently do, because it's great. I think the way this works, if I can remember, is that the major arcanas are kind of more black and white, whereas the swords have like a different coloured tinge to them. Cups has got this kind of goldy, bluey kind of hue to it. And I think the others have, sorry about the nudity if you don't like that. Yeah, so there's slightly different colours, like this bluey for the cups, and the coins have got this browny kind of background. A bit more colour in the wands, a little bit of purple. So, yeah, it is a beautiful, beautiful deck. I do like it a lot. I love this card. I think this Four of Wands card's one of my favourites in that deck. So that's a really quick flick through of that deck. I think if you want a proper look at it, there is a review or a walkthrough on my channel, so feel free to go check that out if you would like to. Let's just put these all up the right way, and if you were interested in that deck, you can freeze frame that and it'll tell you the website. So that's the first one that I want to use more, but until now haven't found the right occasion. And I've got to be honest, I am quite lazy. If a deck is not right next to me to grab for, I will just grab for that Faulkner deck because that is always right next to me. So being totally honest, a lot of the reason that I don't reach for things is because they're on the shelf or I need to go get them. And quite often, if I'm going to, even if I want to pull a card just for me, I'll want to do that quite quickly, and I just can't. Yeah. So, you know, some laziness there from me, I think, as well. The next one I wanted to show is the Texture Tarot. Now, I absolutely love this deck, and I really, really want to use it more. So I'm going to keep these three out nearer to where I am, and that will hopefully help me to just go, right, today I'm going to work with this, and I'll use the Faulkner deck as well, but I'm going to supplement it with a card from this deck. So maybe that's the way to go. So the Texture Tarot is another independently produced deck. It's created by Lisa McLaughlin. I think she's still, I'm pretty sure that this is still available on Etsy. So yeah, that comes in like a very nice tuck box. And let me show you the backs. The backs, fab. Love them. Love, love, love them. And this is just a beautiful deck. Now, if you're not into kind of collage decks, it might not be the one for you. And again, there is a full walkthrough of this on my channel, I'm pretty sure. So do feel free to check that out. I really like this deck. And one of the main reasons that I really like this deck is showing up right here, is because it actually does include someone with a disability. And that is quite a rare find. I know there are more tarot cards, tarot decks and creators that are starting to recognise that not everybody is completely able-bodied in this world. And that is a great thing. I love a bit of inclusivity. I just, maybe it's because I have a disability myself, that it's not something that I see regularly enough in tarot, I don't think. But, you know, there are all sorts of groups who need to be honoured and be part of tarot. And so, but for me personally, this is lovely because there she is. So this deck is so pretty. I really love this deck. I love the colours. I kind of like I guess you would sort of say that it was kind of collagey. Don't know how I would explain it really. Don't know how I would describe it, but it is fab. The colour palette is beautiful. It's very pretty. It's very floral. It's just really pretty. I love this whole game of chance idea for the Wheel of Fortune with like the clubs, hearts, spades, diamonds there in the background. See, even the tower, although it's kind of crumbling and it's struck by lightning, it's still surrounded by quite soft energy, which is quite a nice, interesting take on it. There's our magician. Quite nice to see a female magician from time to time, why not? And a female hermit. I love the Fool in this deck. So good. Sometimes when I'm doing the Hanged Man, I always want to put it up the right way. That's probably me just wanting to control the way things are. There's our Hierophant. And our Lovers. I think there's quite a nice distribution of male-female energy in this deck. Again, we've got somebody here with a disability or differently abled, which is always nice to see in a deck for me personally, because I feel like it's good to see. I love this moon card, just really beautiful. There's our Empress. Good old Dark Devil being a puppet master. So I don't know why I don't use this deck more, really, other than laziness. And it being over the other side of the living room on a different bookshelf, so it's not actually just within reaching out distance. And what I probably should try to do is rotate my decks a little bit more, so that I love the colours of these Cups cards, so that I can access them easily. As you know, if you've watched my channel before, you know that mobility is difficult for me. So I might be judging myself too harshly by saying that I'm lazy, because it actually is not just a case of walking across the room for me to grab something quickly. It's a journey. So, you know, maybe just having it closer to hand would help me to use it, because it's not overly busy, and I think I could get some quite quick readings out of this deck. It's not like the Darkness of Light, where I think that takes a little bit longer to sit with. This is much easier. It's such a chunky deck. The stock's so beautiful. So this is going to be moving onto the table next to where I read, in the hope that I'll reach for it more. It's got a really nice little guidebook. So that's deck number 3. And where am I? Deck number 4 is the Tildwyck Tarot. Now, I absolutely love this deck. However, if you know the Tildwyck Tarot, you will probably know what I'm going to say. You have to sit with this deck for some time, and you have to sit with each card for, in my opinion, others might find it easier, but in my opinion, you have to sit with this deck, because it takes a while to see what's there. So look, this deck is so good. The deck box, lovely. Cardstock, beautiful, beautifully edged in this coppery coloured, yummy stuff. So it's really sad for me that I can't use it more often, but I find the images really need sitting with, because they're quite hard to, I find them quite hard to read. Even when I've got my superpower glasses on, I find them quite hard to read. And you really do have to sit quietly with them and allow yourself to read them, and just allow, it's almost like with this, because the whole thing with the Tildwyck Tarot is it's based on you going into like a house, like a stately home, and working your way around this house, seeing the different images in the house that represent the different cards. And it just, it's a beautiful idea. It's a fabulous deck, but the colours are quite muted. It takes a little while to be sure exactly what card you're looking at. Like I said, even when I've got my superpower glasses on, there's a lot going on in these cards, and it might look like there's not a lot going on in these cards, but there is a lot going on in these cards. I might have the cold deck upside down, but it's beautiful. Look, just look at it. It's just fabulous. I absolutely love it. I really want to use it more. This would not be suitable for reading for people that want a quick answer, in my opinion. You know, other people may look at these cards and there's something just jumps out and they just go, yes, that's what I'm talking about. That is the message for you. It doesn't do that for me. It's a slow burner. It's a sit in the space and feel the energy. There's so much going on in here. Last I heard with the Tildwick Tarot, because the creator of this sadly passed away, was that there was an anniversary edition. This is the second edition. I think there was an anniversary edition that had a guidebook. I would love to get hold of the guidebook because I'd just really like to read through it. Because there is so much symbology going on here. There's all stuff to do with the shapes on the floor that's really relevant. So I'd like to read more about that and learn a bit more about this deck. So I'd love to get hold of that guidebook, but I didn't buy that. I'm pretty sure it was an anniversary edition. Forgive me if I'm wrong. So at that particular time, just couldn't justify buying any more decks because I do have too many decks already. So I would quite like to get my hands on that guidebook at some point. And I think if they did bring out a deck again with a guidebook in it, I'd be tempted to grab it. Just because I think it would help to really start to identify the important things on this card. Because when I look at these cards, I tend to just go, oh my God, what am I looking at? I need to sit with this until I see it jump out at me. And it doesn't always jump out very quickly. I find the titles up here very difficult to read, even with my superpower glasses on, which I don't have on at the moment. But let me just put them on and see if it actually makes that much difference, because I really don't think it does make a lot of difference. I think they're very difficult to read. Yeah, I can read that Three of Coins there now. But even with these glasses on, it doesn't jump out. And I think part of the reason is, obviously, I wear glasses, so my eyesight is not perfect. But part of the reason is that they put the lettering white out of a very busy background. So if you have text that is black printed on white, it's much, much easier to read. Black printed on white is the way to go if you are concerned about people being able to read what you want to say. So black on a white background, perfect. White on a black background, nearly always just as good, but harder to read if people do have eyesight that's a little bit iffy. It is harder, but it's still not bad. Then you start to get like white out of a background that's a bit different and not just a solid colour. That's harder. And then you get this. White on a background that is already busy. So it's not ideal. Not ideal. But it's a shame because I absolutely love this deck. And I would love to work with it more. But I do find it very difficult. Very difficult to see all the detail. Even my superpowers, they're too strong for me, really. I always feel a bit sick when I'm wearing those too much. So I kind of probably need a pair of glasses that's somewhere in between these ones and my really strong ones. That might help because then at least I won't feel ill. But there's a lot going on with these cards. And I love that card. It's so great. Look at that devil. It's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. But I find it challenging. Challenging, not because it's a challenging deck. It's a lovely deck. It's just that I can't see easily what's going on. So you have to sit with it for a while. And there's nothing wrong with that. there's nothing wrong with having to sit with cards for a while to let them sink in at all. It's just that I tend to work very quickly, and the times that I'm not working very quickly is usually if I read for myself, which I don't really do very much. Like I say, I think it would help if I had a guidebook to read through, because then I kind of, you know, if you know what you're looking for in a card, it's easier to spot. So, you know, you might look at this, for instance. Let me just explain what I'm talking about, what I'm on about here. So this is the Fool, and if you're looking at that card, you're thinking, all right, I can see all this kind of harlequin-y pattern, I can see the mirror, I can see the what's it called, the mantelpiece, the fireplace, and I can see that there are two statues on here. I can see that there are other shapes going on around here, but there's a butterfly, and I can, you know, there's an image in the mirror that I can see, but I've sat with that for a while, and when I first looked at that, I probably wouldn't have seen all that stuff. So if you've got a guidebook that says in the card you will see X, Y, Z, they'll jump out more. It's like if someone points out, oh look, there's a thing over there, you might not have noticed it, but when someone says there's a thing over there, all of a sudden you're like, oh, how did I not see that? So I think a guidebook would really help. It's a great deck though. If you want to know a little bit more about Neil Lovell, who is the guy that created it and passed away, his brother then released this deck, that you can freeze and have a look at that. It's beautiful. I don't know if there is a deck that's available at the moment. When I put this up, I will put in the description if I can find if it is still available. But it's lovely, and I really do wish that I could use it more. So I may use it for almost a bit like path work, where you just sit with a card and meditate with it. So that would probably work better for me, and at least it would mean that I was actually using it a little bit, well, more than I am. Because it's a shame, because I love it. And I love the idea of it, the whole idea of going into like a mansion, a stately home that's been abandoned, and I love that thought of going in there, sort of creeping around and seeing what's going on and all the different rooms, and you know, I love history and I love all of that kind of thing. So this will be perfect. I'd love to spend more time with it, but it is a bit neglected at the moment. So those are the three that I picked out to show as my sort of neglected stroke overlooked decks. So that's the ones that I would like to show. I mean, all of this stuff is my personal opinion. You may have these decks and think, how could you possibly leave that on the shelf? And I get it, because I have decks that I have, and you know, so I do get that. But, you know, it's each to their own, and we all have different things going on in our lives that stop us from using some of our things in the way that we would like to use them. But those are the three that I wanted to show. So just say thank you for Simon I can't get my words out. Thank you to Simon for setting up the hashtag. It's been really fun to do. I've not been doing very much on my channel lately, and it's given me a nice idea for a video, and so thank you for that. Thank you very much for watching. If you have liked, please like and subscribe and all of that good stuff if you'd like to, and I will speak to you all again soon. Bye for now.